Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Giga Berlin is expanding. What do you guys think they should build next? I'm dying to know. Not enough people are talking
Giga
about
Iraq. Hi, everybody.
All right, this was a great episode, everyone. Have a good day.
I didn't mean next factory. I mean, what should Giga Berlin build after they've ramped the Y?
No, they should build.
And why didn't
Giga
you say
Iraq.
Giga Chad?
Is that somebody at the door? I think the FBI's here.
This is, I'm dying to know. This is my top question of the week.
They should build a boat. Why not?
A boat?
There's too much water over there in Europe as well. They need to drain all the water from there.
The Venice optimized Tesla.
There you go. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. What do you want? Like, you want like some tiny Model Y or something like that, or do you want I don't know, giant
I say
SUV?
the three. I want them to do 4680 structural single piece casting Model 3s over there that are like super efficient,
Have the
super
capacity
cheap,
for it.
Quicksilver.
Would you like fries with that? Is that for me to go?
I'd like at least.
Will that be all?
4.
he just built his own. $10.99. Please pull forward. Man, that was a very. Like,
That's my.
They got me craving fries, and I already had fries last night. I need more now.
That's my big request, but we'll see.
I want something new. I'm hungry for something new.
Yeah.
You want like a different model that we've not seen before?
I want a different sector that they haven't been in yet.
Boat.
Construction equipment.
I want an RV.
Ooh. Wow. Oh, that'd be interesting.
I mean,
so I can live in it and not feel weird. There, I said
that
it.
would do well on European roads.
I know. Yeah, that's true.
Still Giga
That's
Berlin.
true.
Yeah. Planes.
But
that's
you could
that's
do
where
a
they can make
little
the
fan.
planes. Just do a whole plane sector there in Berlin because they could just cut down all the trees, make a nice little landing strip, and fly their Tesla
Cut down
battery
the
packs
tree.
everywhere. Cut down more trees. Why not? Kill the
Can
oxygen.
you put a runway on a Gigafactory roof, or is that too hard?
Yeah.
You don't want to land things on the roof that you're building things underneath.
I
That's
mean,
a bad
What
idea.
roof should you put
Denver
it
has
on?
the underground airport structure, and that seems to be working fine. So,
The Denver. I mean, helicopters are an exception because they're lighter. They can't do that
Illuminati.
much. What?
Huh?
But at least a landing strip on top of a building is not a good idea. That's how you can
Okay.
easily. I mean, have you seen 747s or 737s crash or go off of the runway and crash?
No.
It's not a pretty sight, and they'd cause a lot of. There's dirt goes flying everywhere. It is. I guess in this case it'd be panels go flying everywhere if it's on top of a building. No.
Okay.
Make a
that
hole
answers
in
that
tire.
engineering question.
Yep. How many
That's a
more
no-go.
engineering questions do you want me to answer? I can answer all of them. They should make a pogo stick next.
I could have a few, maybe software engineering, but
Oh, I can't do that.
okay. Like
Now you're
have
talking my
either of you
language.
gotten? Yeah. Have either of you gotten 69.3 yet, or is that still not rolled out?
yes, today.
Oh, so
It's.
you did get it.
I went to go
Okay.
get. It's peppermint mocha season. I went to go get it. I went to go get
Rip
a
pumpkin
peppermint
spice.
mocha. As I came back, software update. I was like, install, and then I came upstairs and podcast. So I have no thoughts yet because I haven't been in my car since. But
Can
I
you
got it
check
today.
what version you have on the app?
Yes.
I don't think you can.
In the bottom, I think.
I've got 20.19, so no. But the car did try killing me earlier this week, so that's fun. Again, FSD, terrible. Got an update. It does turns worse now, so not
Whoa,
very
really?
happy.
Wait, which version is this? Is this 69.2.4?
I'd have to. I don't have. First of all, the wife has the car, so even if I wanted to run out and go check, I can't. She's at work, but we'll put it right here in the podcast for what version it is. But in any
Wow.
case, yeah, look at that.
When did you get it? That should answer the question.
I got it 2 or 3 days ago, so it's very recent. So I think it is the most recent update. Because
Really?
Yeah.
Well, no, you didn't get the theater mode
some.
improvements or the new energy app. Did you get those?
I don't think I've gotten the energy app thing, and I'm still not able to move my
Your
side
cameras?
view cameras around.
Then that means it's not 69.3 because
Okay.
that's what that comes with.
So I've got some intermediate update that is very, very bad.
So the turns are worse.
It's a whole lot worse. It tried driving me into a pole, which is great.
Oh my god.
I had to jerk it over to the right. I guess we'll also put that video right here.
Wow.
Wow, look at that. I almost died. It's kind of
So not
embarrassing
good.
now.
Okay.
It's not boding well. It's not making me happy on my morning and evening commutes to and from work. I'm using it a little bit less now, which is very sad because I used to use it a lot, and now it's maybe once or twice a week I'm using it, and I'm using it or trying to use it for most of the duration of the drive. Nothing. Or by nothing I mean it's giving me nothing to be excited for right now. So
Wow.
I'm
That's
hoping
depressing.
the next update after this, whichever one, right? The next update provides a little bit more solidity, more solid ground.
Yeah. Because I'm still on the fence because I'm now on the same build that the beta is on, which means
Yeah.
I could subscribe and probably get on the beta, but I'm not sure if I should yet or if I should wait because Elon already tweeted they want to iron out .3 a little bit more. I just don't understand the logic here. It's like it's never been good. It's always been beta. So how do you decide when it's good enough for the rollout versus it's like we're going to pay attention anyway. We're going to have to take over anyway. Like how do you dictate when this is so bad we got to stop rolling it out versus I don't know. Maybe there's like a intervention per mile thing they check or something.
So many on my end.
Hey, intervention reminds me of. I have an update for you guys about insurance.
Randy update.
You and your wife had an intervention.
Insurance. And I was thinking about interventions, and I was thinking about my safety score. My insurance, USAA, has officially offered their version of the safety score for a lower insurance rate. Based off.
How does that work?
It's a separate app that connects to my phone, and it runs in the background. I don't have to run the app or nothing, and it logs my miles. It could, because all the information's in the Tesla app anyway. It logs my miles. It will use GPS. It will know how fast I'm going. It will know, like braking and all that jazz, and it knows when you're on your phone and if you're being cautious. It does all these things. I was like, this is very invasive. But it said, sign up now and you get an immediate 10% discount. And then at the end of your policy, you can go as high as 30% discount. And I already get a lot of discounts.
For my privacy? Wow.
Huh? Wow. I have privacy. But this privacy is like, you're going to affect my rates. And it knows when you're driving and when you're not driving. Like it knows when you are the passenger or when you are actually being the driver.
How does it know?
I can't tell you because I don't know, because I didn't download the app. Here's the punchline of it. I ended up not going with it because Brittany was like, I don't want to do it for other reasons that I can't say online. I can't say on record. But it wouldn't work for her or her car. And so when I removed her vehicle from the policy, it went from 10% to 5%. And instead of a max of 30%, it was a max of 15%. And I said, my insurance is actually pretty low right now because, I'm such a senior citizen and I have such a great safety score. I don't have accidents that I've reported that I'm at fault for. Last time I had an accident, I got rear-ended, and that was definitely not on me. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's not worth the immediate 5% discount for me to do it. But the fact that they're rolling it out now tells me that this safety score thing, because it is based off of 100, and you start at 100, and it will decrease. And when I was reading on the chart, you can actually increase throughout the month as well. So it is very, it moves the same way your safety score would have moved, and you reset. It resets at the end of the policy. So every 6 months, it will give you a clean slate, and then based off of what that final number is for the last 6 months, it will give you an appropriate discount. From what I was reading, it doesn't add, like you don't become a liability. It can only offer discounts. It can't be like, ooh, we don't like how you were on your phone, so we're going to increase it by $10 a month. It's the premium does not get affected in a higher rate. It can only benefit you. I feel weird about all that data being logged on me. Again, for reasons I can't say online or on record.
I can't wait to data mine all this information about Randy's driving score.
It's not about me. I was for it, like, hey, I'll sign up. That's cool. But there's other hindrances. But now that tells me, it's like, okay, it's going beyond Tesla. It's starting with USAA, and okay, they're one of the better insurance policies if anyone's able to get with them. But now I think, well, Geico or Liberty Mutual or State Farm, all these, I can see these guys rolling out their own safety score thing now. And if that's the case, and if they do that, I retract a previous statement I said earlier this year or last year, and I would
I remember you saying you wouldn't.
I wouldn't do it. But if everyone else is doing it and it becomes more of a standard, then I think I would take the Tesla insurance, possibly. If they're all doing it, then I'd rather have the one that's in the house anyway.
Yeah, they know the car more than the others.
Yes.
I still want it.
I would feel safer. I would feel safer with maintenance if something was to happen. I would do the insurance strictly for mechanical upkeep. I go to the service center anyway. I won't take the Tesla anywhere else. So if I'm going to go to the service center, then why not do it all in house? So that's my revised statement. I didn't like the idea of like, oh God, it's constantly grading me, it makes me feel weird. But if that's the new norm, then all right, yeah, I'll do.
How dare you take that turn at 26 miles per hour? You're supposed to take it at 25.
Sharp turns are logged. Yeah, all that stuff is logged.
I'm just surprised the phone can get all that data.
Accelerometer and all that.
It cross communicates with the Tesla app with your Bluetooth settings. It has its means to do it. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't realize they could get all that. But I've heard of other apps doing it. I don't think Tesla was the first to come up with it, but it's probably the easiest to because it requires no additional hardware. Car can just log all that anyway. But my insurance has stayed the same so far, although we're on track to surpass the originally promised mileage, which, from what I've read online with Tesla insurance, once the car goes over that, they automatically adjust the rate. So I'm pretty sure insurance will go up once we surpass that mileage.
Do you expect that you're going to keep on paying that mileage yearly?
Probably, yeah. Okay. Or if anything, more so. But we just figured, like, well, if it's lower now before we hit it, then might as well take the cut, take the savings for the first few months that we're under it.
Right.
But like, I guess there's just a lot more driving than we expected. We put in our mileage based on how we were driving with the old car. Then we got this car and we realized we drive all the time and we drive more frequently, and we're like the designated family shuttle service to the airport, and we're more inclined, we can go visit, we can go there, we're more inclined to go on trips now that it's cheaper.
You are allowed to have fun.
That's right. And I am.
Just costs a few more dollars.
Yeah, it definitely costs a few more. Most expensive thing I've ever bought that wasn't a house, essentially. But no, I still very much enjoy it, and I'm happy we went with it, and even with its flaws, even with its little wind noise things, which Mike got to experience.
Yeah, I was gonna mention I finally got to ride inside Pearl for the first time, and what is hilarious is I think my first comment when I first got inside was, "I kind of like this interior." Or, the white interior is pretty neat.
I thought you were going to
Something along
say,
those lines.
sat down like, ew, what's that noise?
Well, honestly, yeah, we'll probably get to that. It was surprising of like where the noise was. I was expecting it somewhere else, and but otherwise, Pearl's a fine car from my perspective. Definitely drives like a Model 3. Except I didn't drive it. I rode in it, but definitely feels like a Model 3. I do like the updated interior a bit more after being in Drew's. I definitely like the white accents that you apply to it as well on the center console.
Thank you.
It's a pretty sweet ride, but I think you're
wanna
giving
trade?
it to No. I like my Y. It was kind of funny you turning up with a very clean car and then there's mine. I'm like, I haven't cleaned mine in a while. But what was I going to say? Oh, I think you're a little bit too harsh on it, or at least maybe your expectations are a little bit too high of it with the noise. Because maybe it's me with my early VIN Model Y. I hear something close to that noise whenever I drive. It's just different location, or also it's a crossover SUV, so there's just a little bit more space or a little bit more wind going over it. So
Yeah.
it could be an equivalence of that, but even still, I think it's livable. But I think
It definitely is.
I think you're entitled to your opinion. So I'm not
Well, you
dismissing the problem that you
Yeah. You reaffirmed my suspicion that it's not that out of the ordinary, because we were driving pretty fast down the freeway, and I was like, "Do you hear it?" And I thought it was pretty audible from where I was sitting, and then he like leans over and he's like, "Kinda." He was like, we had to like turn the music off and turn off the air conditioning, and he's like, "Huh." That's it. Which is basically like no one else who's ever been in the car really, or my wife never brings it up. It's like, it's just me being picky. I don't think it's that out of spec. It felt more noticeable in the cold. So I wondered if the temperature, because I was telling Mike that like the driver door likes to rattle, but only at certain temperatures. Mm-hmm. If it's hot out, I can hear it, a little bit of squeaky with it, but then when it gets cold, I never hear it. So I'm pretty sure it's just the expanding of the
you got
door
thermal
mount or
expansion
something.
happening with the materials. So yeah, when it's heated up, you got things a little bit closer to context, and you start getting that vibration, noise audibly coming out, hitting your eardrum and all that. And when it's cold, maybe you're just hearing the sound of whatever noise that's coming from your kind of back driver window area. And so,
because it's like contracting more, so the space between the glass and the sealant or something grows. But I definitely heard it more. We went on kind of a far drive to a friend's house, and it was kind of late at night, and it was like pretty chilly out, and I was like, it sounds noticeably louder now, louder than what it was for when Mike was in the car. And I was like, huh, oh well, I brought it up, and my wife was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, nothing. It's like, I'm just gonna live with it, because after the 3 service visits, I was like, well, that got me nowhere. So if there's any little quirks and things, I'm just living with it, and it's not that big a deal. It's really minor stuff. But I was happy because earlier this week, I got to talk EVs with my wife, which we normally don't do very often. But she was just like, are there any electric crossovers on the market right now? And I was like,
We're doing this.
I was like, only 90 billion,
just this effect going on and all that.
I was like, we have a term on the podcast for all of that. I was like, there's more electric crossovers than any other electric vehicle on the market.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane how many there were. But I was
Stop the
like,
apocalypse.
why do you ask? Why are you curious? She's just like, oh, I don't know. Like someday if we surprise had twins or triplets or something and we needed a different car, like I was wondering what we would get. And I was like, So we got to play the hypothetical game that we often play on the podcast, which I enjoyed. Spitballing with of like, oh, well, this is, I told her like, probably if you're just going for cheap, I'd really love to check out like a Bolt EUV, just because of how affordable they are and the fact that I haven't looked at one yet. It wouldn't be good for road tripping, but if we were just driving around town and stuff, it would be cool to try one out. But we're not announcing anything. Nothing's been.
Can I give you some life updates?
Yeah, of course.
Two things. First one,
I'm not hearing any baby crying right now.
my
It just shows up.
Model 3 has officially been babyfied. I have installed my car seat.
Ooh.
It's that real.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. You should do that now.
I had to get it. Oh, dude, non-EV related. Our the baby room is on the side of this wall right here. Crib set up. We've got all the baby clothes from everyone. We, washed it with baby detergent, so it's clean. Everything is ready. We have rockers set. We have bayonets. What's that? Baby wipes?
Bayonets. What?
Well, yeah.
What kind of baby are you getting?
A warrior, a Viking warrior.
You may not exit.
And
Hold the line.
this week I have set up my car seat. So now that's installed in the Model 3.
With the built-in bayonet.
I'm just picturing a Model 3 with bayonets on them.
Mad Max it. That's right.
On Mad Max mode.
I will say this.
How did the car seat installation go?
Yeah, I wasn't first time, car seater here, so I wasn't really sure how that was going to work. And I've always been worried about, like, is my car too short, too small? Not bad at all. The installation was
That's good.
in and out. And what I did, just for maybe more paranoia than anything, I took a black sheet, like a bed sheet, since I have a black interior, and I just draped it over the back seat.
The best interior.
The best interior. I draped it over the back seat, and I tucked it into where the car seat's going to sit, so that way it doesn't, like, puncture anything or, have indents and stuff like that. So it's resting on the black sheet, but it blends in very well. The car seat fits fine, and I got one of those car seats that it's a car seat, carrier, and stroller thing. So
Those things are cool. I want one of those when I have a kid.
2020 baby life is completely different from how I remember, like when my brother was born.
When you were a baby.
Well,
They threw me in the trunk.
I was 10 when my brother was born, and that was in 2000. So I remember a lot of the family adjusting to accommodate now with this infant, and none of that stuff existed even then. So, and I definitely knew it wasn't around when I was born. So I'm like, this is really cool. What a cool time to have, like, a child and have all this cool tech. People are innovating these little 3-in-1s and convenience this and blah, 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 blah. So my car is now babyfied and it's ready. And I felt relieved.
Are you going to get the mirror thing?
Yes. Yeah.
So you can see them? That's good.
Or they can see you.
I'm going to have it completely spec'd out to be baby proof in the way that I can accommodate for, like, appointments and stuff like that, and the bayonet as well will be.
Will they have control of this heated seat as well and all that? Be able to press buttons on their own.
That'd be cool. It gave me peace of mind that I now know that I don't need a hurry to, like, get like a Model Y or a crossover of any caliber. Because if I did, it would be an
That's
EV.
good.
That's probably going to be my top question, like, in the next 6 months with you and your kid. Is like 6 months from now.
Drew, thank you, Mike. Please, we're 25 minutes in, but let people know about our schedule.
Oh, right. So just as a reminder, this is your first of 3. The last episode for the year will be on November 19th, And then we're taking a break for the holidays, and also Randy's baby's on the way, so he's going to be busy anyway. I'm going to have family in town through Thanksgiving and Christmas, so we will be back, but the episodes are going to be
I'll
stopping.
just be here.
But Mike can do the episode all by
I'll
himself.
just sit here all alone in the dark. Spout off nonsense.
dark.
If you want that, let me know in the comments or
I'd
tweet me or
love
whatever.
for you to upload a 3-hour video of you sitting in the dark without saying anything.
I can do that.
And it says Happy Thanksgiving, period.
No.
Not exclamation, but
Happy Halloween. It says
What
Happy
kind of
Halloween.
horror film is this?
it sounds amazing. But no, I thank you for reminding me. But on that same subject, like I'm glad you're bringing that up, because that's been on our mind a lot. Of like, is the Model 3 capable of being a good family car? Like,
I should have a update for you guys when we return for the new season next year. I will.
Good.
I will have enough time to get familiar with the ins and outs of it, because he'll have to do his initial, newborn medical check-ins and all that. So
That's so exciting. The first car that he's going to be in is a Model 3.
I know
That's amazing.
that's the car
He's
we're gonna
gonna be
leave
like,
the hospital with. I'm so
Dad,
excited.
why do you have USB-A ports in the back?
Well, son, I got this car before you were born. I don't know.
Things
No, that's a weird feeling, I'm sure.
I hope I raise him to not be a tech snob like me. I hope he's more like Brittany in that sense, where it's just like
blissfully ignorant.
well,
No,
I mean,
you have
I'll
no
make
hope
him
there.
educated to it, but like I have a chip on my shoulder about a lot of things that I need to work through, and it's like USB-A, HDMI 2.1. What?
He will be a
MagSafe.
snob.
Yeah, probably.
He will, if he's being raised in a Model 3,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
first family car, he's gonna get in a friend's car at school one day and be like, "What?
Why is it making that noise?
What's that? Is that okay? Oh my god!
Where's
Oh
the
my God,
heated
are we gonna
seats?
die?
Yeah,
Why are the seats not like sleek? Why are they furry?
there's so many buttons, so many dials. Yeah,
Ew.
no, he
Yeah,
will. He will be a privileged boy.
Good. I worked really hard for this, young man. I hope you understand the life I tried to give you that I never had.
No, because that was our thought
everything.
process too. I was like, I'm pretty sure if we just had one kid, the Model 3 would be enough. What we weren't sold on is if we had more than one kid. We were like, 2 kids in the back of the Model 3, that's basically an Aptera. Like, no one else can sit back there. If there's 2 car seats,
Basically, not
it would be tight. And that's what she was like, if we had 2 kids by some happenstance. She's just thinking about it because she's been doing a lot of babysitting gigs, so she's spending a lot of time with little kids these days.
Sure.
And she was like, what would we get if we did run into that scenario? And my personal request would have been sell or trade in the Model 3 for a Model Y, and hopefully at that point, which is way in the future, they'll have cheaper Model Ys by then, because Texas and Fremont will be ramped more fully. There will be a lot more Model Ys on the market. Hopefully they'll have LFP single motor Model Ys available for cheap, because I would not buy the current Model Y long range at its current pricing. If by
Unless you really
some
need it.
miracle we had triplets or something next year, which I don't think will happen. But
Holy crap.
if
it
did,
keeps on growing. If we had one kid. But then what if we had 20? It could have
we
been
were daydreaming.
triplets.
Basically, by the end of the conversation, we were like, let's not have kids. Model 3 is good enough. That's fine.
Yeah. We also go
Let's
to the
just-
exercise as well. And our answer is if we have 2 or more kids, probably, yeah. 2 kids is like the threshold for like the Y, in our opinion. It's like, yeah, we could do
Yeah.
it with the Y, but like, it would be nice to, it'd break my heart if we had to, but to trade in the Y for like an R1S. The R1S
That would break
be,
your heart? Really?
To trade in the Y? Yeah.
But you're getting an R1S.
And the R1S would
that
be
amazing?
great. But I'm losing like an early VIN Model Y that was the first entrance. I mean, it'd be, I think you guys would agree, right? It's like, this is your first EV. It's special. Like, it's got that quirk to it. I mean, even if you don't own an EV, people can also
Only
viewers
I
can
have
also-
farted in my car, and no one can take that from me.
Those are very some very
not
special
true.
Randy fart seats. Oh dear lord. Anyways, yeah, we'd probably go with like an R1S.
You like your Y, I get it. That's fair.
Yeah, we'd probably go.
So
for
not
an
a
R1S.
7-seater Y then, after experiencing that.
Why? No, that was a horror show sitting in that thing. That was
But
terrible.
you wouldn't sit there. Your kids would.
I don't even care if my no. I'm not sitting. I'm not putting my kids back there. Ugh, no. Even if they end up very short, which doesn't make sense because both me and my wife are decently tall. No. No.
You
No,
maybe
why?
are height inefficient.
No. Height
Vertically
efficient.
challenged.
It's
They're-
vertically efficient because you don't have, efficiency is not about excess. It's about
I'm grateful that Randy's car is babyfied and it seems to be working great because I want you to have that car for as long as possible, assuming you don't need to sell it or trade it in or anything, or hopefully it never gets totaled or something. I think these cars are going to last a long time. So
especially yours. With
They're
that
like
L-
lobsters or crab, but like
What?
they outlive what normally would kill them. Like we don't know how long the car will go because natural disasters or man hunting or something will happen before my car would die. So,
Holy cow! Lobsters
I-
can live to be 100 years old.
but we wouldn't know
Really?
that because we get them all.
how did we know?
I just
how
blew
old
Mike's
they
mind
could-
about lobsters.
What? The oldest captive lobster on record was 140 years old.
At what age can the lobster apply for Social Security?
None,
benefit?
because it's a lobster.
Oh,
It
that's
doesn't
not fair.
pay.
We're very
Social Security. It doesn't pay into
speciesist.
it. It doesn't get anything.
But like,
When can a lobster drive my Model Y?
that's a good question since we're on the subject of buying a vehicle for the future. That's why a lot of people won't go with an Aptera, not necessarily because they need more than 2 seats, but they're like, well, one day I want to have more people, or I need something with longevity with it. And I think that impacted both of your guys' buying decisions. Like, assuming we just write off the concept of maybe you get in an accident and the vehicle's totaled, or putting that aside, how long do you think you guys can hold on to your cars? Like, do you visualize a point where either your family outgrows it and you need something else, or if it's not that, do you think you'll keep it until you hand it off to your kid when they're old enough to drive, or you'll want to upgrade at a certain year, or do you plan on running it basically till there's something that prevents it from working?
That's a tough question.
Uh,
At least with a Model Y, it's tough because it's a crossover SUV. So it was never really meant for like, this is my dream car forever and it can do everything. It's kind of limited because it's a crossover. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that.
But okay,
Oh, okay, good sir. But at least for
it can do everything.
what I envision with like my car history, like I started out with like a Honda Civic, then got a Volvo and all that, and now I've got a Model Y and a truck. I envision if we do have kids, we'll eventually get to an R1S, and the Model Y may or may not still be existing in that lineup. And even if it does, it might just retire as the family car, or like it's that car that the kids get to drive as like their first car, and then they drive it to school and all that, and then eventually, of course, the kid's gonna screw up and crash it into a pole or something like that, and then that's it. It could be something like that, or eventually, if money's tight, it gets replaced by another vehicle. But at least I hope to carry it on for the next 30 years, at least.
Woo.
If it doesn't last the 30 years, then I don't know. I want to keep it as long as I can. This vehicle's cool.
Yeah.
But if life gets in the way, because I'm at a stage in my life where you have to plan for, like Randy is right now, kids and all that. Like, what do you plan on doing with your life and what vehicle is going to be able to cater to that lifestyle. And right now, the vehicle caters perfectly to our lifestyle, and it's kind of future-proofed because it's a crossover SUV. But longer than that, do I envision myself getting like that sports car, like midlife crisis vehicle, which could be the Aptera? Probably.
Probably.
But who knows? It's tough, but I envision keeping the Y for a while.
I will.
Rough guess is 30 years then.
Probably max 30 years.
Max 30 years. Okay.
Yeah.
It's hard to plan that ahead because so much
Yeah.
has changed, and COVID taught me I gotta stop planning so far ahead because none of it matters.
That's true.
I will keep the bare minimum. I'll keep the car until I get $6,000 worth of FSD out of it. Like,
And when will that be?
I don't
So
know.
30 years.
So probably about 30 years minimum. Here's the thing: the car is slick. It's even if I took the wrap off, which eventually just will happen.
Oh yeah,
Having
when
it-
do you do that? Is there a time you're
Well,
supposed to do it, or
Not that you're
just
supposed to.
whenever you feel like it?
When it starts to
Okay.
peel, natural. I mean, a sticker's a sticker. Eventually, it starts to fade, but it's 3 to 6 years they said, and it's been in the garage more than anything. So I really can go longer than that. Which
Yeah, you
I'm
definitely
okay
increase
with.
longevity with that.
Yeah, I'm fine
Mhm.
with that. So I would get my money's worth out of it for sure. The longer I hold on to the Model 3, the more money I save, and that is a personal goal of just holding on to it for as long as I can. So maybe I will run it into the ground, let it become a family car at some point, maybe. But it's also just a good looking car that I don't want to. I don't want to retire it for the sake of this is a better looking car. Like, that's not my objectives now have kind of changed. The Model 3 is I want to take it out in town and go for a nice drive, and it's long range, so I can go pretty far with it. And also that means battery degradation. My battery will be doing quite well for a very long time. I future proofed it to be the last car I could use in my adult life before I go into like senior age, I guess. So 30 years 30 years is plausible, but
What's your
I would-
senior car?
senior car will have like, that's the thing, this is where it's really hard to plan ahead, because in some way I can see not much changing in the auto industry with like FSD doesn't become a thing, or robotaxi, all that stuff that we would want it to do just doesn't become. So at the end of it, in 30 years or 50 years, it's still just you're driving, and in that sense it's a good driving car, but just having fun driving it. And I think I will consider moving on when I'm no longer excited or feel good about driving the car. And the high is still there. I still have the contact high after all these years. I like driving the Model 3. In particular, the Model 3, I like the UI. I like the minimalistic interior. I like the way it grips. I like the way it moves. And it's something I've become familiar with. So it's going to be hard to like let that one go. Adding onto the fleet, to the Vasquez fleet, is definitely going to happen for sure. I would love to get an R1T. That would be an amazing next car. I love the uniqueness of Aptera. I love what everyone else is doing. That does not fill or replace the slot of what the Model 3 does in my life, which is why I like everyone else's thing too. I can have an Aptera to be that could be the new, show pony. And just driving around, hey, look at this, so weird. Driving around town. The R1T, I could take it, go camping with in the mountains. If it's not the mountains here on the East Coast, wherever I go next, I guarantee I'll have mountains there. So I would like to have
Canada.
Canada has mountains, yes, that's true.
It does. Mainly trees, but there are mountains. I'm making reference to your tweet.
I know. That's it. I'm going to Canada. I mean, I'm leaving Twitter. That's what this all feels like. So I don't want to replace it. I'm not bored of it. I have no intention of doing it. But if there was something happen that's not caused by an accident, I would replace it probably when I pass the car off to like my son or something. You know, if a family member
Whoa.
next up, I would like, here you go.
And that'll be the old car. That's what's hard to imagine. That'll be the gear stocks. What?
USB
all
A.
the- Ugh.
You jerry
All
rigged
the
this with
kids
a
point and
wireless
laugh.
charging. Ew. They come standard.
He's going to school and everyone points and laughs. It's a 2018 Model 3. Oh my
19.
god.
It's that old.
What's the difference?
About $6,000.
Yeah, really. That's a good point. That's interesting. That's fun to think about how many things how little there is to age over time without the transmission or head gaskets or oil changes or just,
Right.
it's like tires and batteries.
I mean,
12 volts.
you just got a new vehicle, Drew, but do you see something on the horizon after the 3, like the Aptera?
Aptera is all going to be dependent on them if they can actually deliver on their promises. We've just decided that like if they can actually deliver that vehicle eventually, I don't care how long it takes, but we would sell the old Hyundai and replace that as our secondary vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing that could happen that would make this car no longer work for us is more than one kid, I guess. If one day we had more children, that would pretty much be the only thing I think that would make us go, okay, like, because when we were having that talk about, one day getting an SUV if we needed it, her big question was, what's the charge network like on the Bolt? Or if we went with a Kia Soul, or if we went with
Kia Soul,
Blazer, what
no.
have you. Basically anything that's not a Model Y. She was like, what's the charge network like? And I was like, not very good. It's like, it's pretty pathetic. And at this point, I don't have much faith that it's going to change. So she was open to saying like, well, maybe we wouldn't need to road trip with that vehicle as much. So it'd be okay if it wasn't supercharger capable, or hopefully the superchargers are more open to CCS by that time in our life, because this is not coming in the next year or two. This would be down the road. Mm-hmm. So my best conclusion was, in that situation, we would sell or replace the Model 3 with something that would still have the supercharging access but have more seats and have more practicality, which I assume would be the Model Y. The only other potential consideration was like Rivian's building out the adventure network, and they've talked about this R2 vehicle that they want to build at their Georgia facility. I think R1S is probably a bit out of our price range unless YouTube starts performing way better. I love the R1S,
Or
but
Twitter.
I don't think, or Twitter, yeah. If Twitter takes off, maybe we could afford it. But at this point, I don't think we could swing an R1S, and maybe that would change if the used market improved. Like if they had more of a demand constraint and you could buy used ones for, like, the number I have in my mind is it would have to be like under $60,000 for us to be able to swing it and justify it. And I don't think the R1S is going to hit that, but the R2
tall order.
potentially could.
Yeah.
R2 might hit there, and then we could charge it at the Adventure Network and hopefully improve superchargers, and maybe Electrify America could get their act together, but that feels like a tall order to ask. So, yeah. But at this point, I don't think that will happen. So I would assume that this car could last us, similar to what Mike said, around 30 years or more. And I would just love to see it age. I'm just so curious about cycle life and range over the long haul. And there's nothing really other than this car, which is very efficient, and the Aptera, which is very efficient, there's nothing else like rumored to come out that would. There's all kinds of stuff I'm excited for, but nothing else that I can really justify that would like fit. I keep really wanting to justify a Rivian. I keep like, oh well, maybe if we got into camping and if I wanted to camp more often, it's like I can't even make the camping kitchen. Come on, like I'm trying to figure out a excuse to be like, okay, I need an R1T, but I can't. I'm really trying. This just doesn't come up in our life, but I'm glad we got this. I hope that nothing like horribly wrong happens with it, like a critical high voltage battery failure or a powertrain something or whether. So I would like to see it age, and maybe my midlife crisis vehicle would be like we have different answers for all these sections of our life. Probably a Cybertruck or a Rivian would be a midlife crisis. Like, I don't know. I got, more money than I know what to do with. I'm just going to buy something that's cool. Or a Model X.
Be like everyone else and buy NFTs.
Oh, yeah. That's the worst kind of midlife crisis you could have, is the NFT splurge.
It just all goes in the trash.
Might as well light it all on fire.
So,
but
you guys talk about your R1Ss a lot, and I was like, what would my price range look like for an R1S? $100,000. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's a sacrifice.
You don't have to get that one though.
It's the one I want. Midlife crisis.
Exactly.
Oh, midlife crisis. This will be quite a crisis then.
Yeah, I spent all our money.
I would get the base trim of the R1T or R1S. I would not spec it very high.
Yeah. Also, I just
would get
forgot about
that
the
LFP.
Roadster possibly existing, but thinking that that'll exist in 20 years. No, probably not.
Rivian is such a good-looking vehicle. They make good-looking vehicles.
It
I
is.
like it.
Yeah. It's kind of
I'm
hard
very
not to
happy for
admire.
all the Rivian owners.
I know. I'd be so happy to be in that club for different reasons. Hey.
Oh, that brings up a question. I don't know if we talked about this on the show, but I did a video earlier asking what people think the first 400-mile range electric truck will be. Do you guys have different answers than me?
Rivian. Mainly
So no.
because they're already making the truck. All they have
Yeah.
to do is put bigger battery in it, and they've already been testing battery. So it's coming. They already confirmed in an email it's coming in the spring with the dual
Are you
motor.
sad that it's dual motor only?
I like the dual motor.
Okay. You're like, cool.
My
Works with me.
configuration for an R1T right now is dual motor long range or a max pack or whatever. But
So your dream trim, they're prioritizing.
yep, but I don't have the money or the rationale to go for it. So,
I
but
got you.
anyways,
You're not
I do
dreaming
think-
big enough.
Dream bigger. Enter your
Mustn't be
mindscape.
afraid.
Yeah. I definitely think Rivian's going to beat it compared to like Silverado.
Ford,
in which-
Silverado, Tesla.
I don't think Ford will get there unless like Ford somehow pulls a rabbit out of their frunk.
Ford hasn't even announced the 400-mile range.
No.
Truck.
They're still kind of stuck
I'm
at the
trying to find a
320.
case for a different
15.
vehicle, but the fact of the matter is, the R1T is already out there, and I don't have any updates on Cybertruck. So for that reason, I'm out. I mean, for that reason, I'm
Okay, Cuban.
Yeah, the business model. Anyway,
I feel like the Silverado is kind of the sleeping giant, though. It's like pretty much all they've said about it is it's going to be over 400 miles of range, and the first deliveries would be in the spring. But that's like they haven't given any other details on like lower range trims, which makes me wonder, is there lower range trims, or is that just the one battery pack to rule them all for them? Is like Hummer battery, put the Ultium in everything, and that's 200 kilowatt hours. It's like Phil Swift with the tape. They just Ultium, like company falling apart. Ultium battery pack. Just slapping it on it. But I don't know
works.
how they're expecting to sell a truck with that big a battery pack for $40,000. But I guess they're selling the Bolt for $20,000, and that's, you know, they got to be losing money on that. There's no way that's profitable. So
Yeah.
GM's like, we'll get bailed out anyway. Who cares? It's fine.
I just don't think they've got the means of production to make it come out. I don't know.
Really? Okay.
Or at least like in yeah. That's kind of like
They released
tough,
the Hummer.
They released the Hummer. I guess the tough question is like how much do they want to rush it with like something that's supposed to be a little bit more of their affordable electric truck. So they want to get it right, but also can they beat Rivian at their own game in releasing a EV truck? Well, I guess the Hummer. It's a tough
I
question.
think the Hummer
but
was after.
yeah, but still, I'm willing to put money on the fact that Rivian will make it to 400 miles before the Silverado comes out.
Okay.
Come out as in like there are deliveries going to customers versus like
I see.
there's a few employees that have it or whatever. But also the same thing could be said about Rivian because obviously there's probably a lot of employees that have that trim
True.
set up for them, and Rivian would rather give it to the employees so that way they're not getting negative press over
Right.
the dual motor's not doing well in this case or whatever, where the employee's like, well, I kind of want my job. So
It's kind of unfair too, because like, the Silverado, it feels like they're working on a pre-existing kind of platform a bit, or like the battery pack just stretches it out. If you've seen the outside of the Silverado, it's like it looks like a truck that they just lifted. Like it looks bizarrely tall, and Rivian got to design the truck from the ground up to be electric, not like retrofit. Um, but yeah, I just think for an efficiency standpoint too, it makes more sense for it to be dual motor. It's like if you're going for the range, then it means that you want better efficiency, and the dual motor is just objectively going to be more efficient. It'll consume less power and it'll weigh less. So the quickest way to 400 miles is to simplify on all that. But I remember what I was going to say. The unfair advantage that Rivian owners are doing right now is like a lot of people took delivery of Rivians, but they still have Rivians on order with MaxPack because they know, like, well, I want a Rivian now, so I have one. But once my MaxPack order comes in, I can sell my R1T at a profit, and it'll cover the price of the MaxPack anyway. So
Right.
it's like there's a lot of people that are like, I'm waiting for MaxPack, but they already have Rivians. So
And
there's
then
like
there's us.
all these. Then there's us.
Then there's us just speculating.
That's right.
I want to say 5 years from now. Like the latest 5 years from now. So 2027. I will have a Rivian.
Wow.
Ooh.
I'm writing that down on a sticky note.
You got to stick that down. And you stood true to your word back when we first met. It was 2018 when we drove the Model 3 around, and you were like, I'm getting this next year. He's like, this is what I need to do. And you did. That's what happened.
I'm a long-term strategic game player here about what I want and when I want it. If I set my mind to it and I want it bad enough, I find a way to make it happen. And I think 5 years from now, a Rivian will be an R1T or some caliber of a Rivian will be in my collection because I want it that bad. And it's the one that I have the most faith in obtaining.
Something like that.
Mike wrote it down for the record,
Cool.
so we'll
Yeah.
we'll hold
It's on
you
the
to
whiteboard.
it.
Sure now. I can make that happen. Now, obviously, I'm omitting all this if they go out of business, they get bought out, or something substantially like, oh, now we're selling it for
Nah.
120.
Nah.
Like
It
because
won't
I compromised a little bit. I priced R1T, the one I want with the green dual motor and all that, for $76,000. I can make that happen. Not in a like I got that type. Like in 5 years, either the price will go down, even if it goes up. Like I have enough investments that are helping me build equity in other elements that I can make that happen. Because my rule of thumb is, I don't do loans anymore. I don't like loans. I don't like all that. Like if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right. I'm gonna build my car. I'm not gonna haggle. I'm not doing any of that, all that crap. So, I can make 76 happen in 5 years. That gives me enough time to establish a workflow of how my life will be as a father and where, I don't think I'm going to be in Virginia by then either. So like that gives me enough time to get settled and prioritize my next house, where I would be, and where we will be at as a family. And then I have wiggle room to kind of save, because all that money we've been saving towards a Cybertruck, I mean, I'm not.
Tesla's
I'm
not getting it probably.
Because the thing is, it's like Brittany's rule was that it promised 500 miles. That was the deal breaker for her.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's not happening. And if Rivian is going to meet their goals of getting close to it, it's not going to be a hard sell to be like, hey, babe, look, no one else has gotten this close. Maybe Chevy or someone else. But here's what they're doing with their infrastructure and their network, which we do care about and we prioritize. And it's cheap. It's possibly cheaper than a Cybertruck. It might be something we might endure more. I like the convenience of keeping everything under one network with like the supercharging network, but there has to be a give and take here, and Rivian is the only one that has met my requirements of what I would like to see. And it gives time to flesh out the first gen problem.
True.
I like that. 5 years is enough time to flesh out the first gen problem. So I feel confident 2027. Now, okay, you put pressure on me, Drew. When I said I'm getting this car next year, I had a different objective and different mindset in 2018 where I felt very confident and I like, this will be mine. I have yet seen a Rivian in person, sit in one, drive it. I have no experience.
It still blows my mind.
I know. So I gave you that. I gave you my word then after I had experienced it, and I was like, wow. And times were different. Order it in a week, you get your car. What was that like? Life was different. Now it's a whole different game. So I'm playing a different game, but I know what I want. And I don't want to do gas. I'm okay without gas, especially with. Okay, other life update. That happened this week.
Breaking news.
Not breaking, but I am officially a Virginia resident. I am no longer a California resident officially.
Oh, did you register the vehicle?
I got my driver's license, my real ID.
Oh, I see.
And
I got you.
And I almost registered same day, but that. So this is my omitting any personal information. Anyway, well,
DMV.
DMV. Yeah. So I got my real ID issued. I should get in the mail in a couple days, but I was gonna register. I will register, but then circumstances kind of changed where on the back of my my title, Brittany needs to sign it in order for me to put her as a co-owner for Virginia, and at the time she
Oh,
was
yeah.
at work, and I was like, I'll do it later. So I ended up not registering, but that kind of actually helped me. And I'm going somewhere with all this about my headspace. I was looking online, and I can get a clean vehicle license plate for Virginia, and that is because I have an EV, and that gives me like HOV access, and I get certain like perks for it, and I might consider doing that. It's plus, and I think we did it on the show. I talked about the whole logging miles, and that's how I pay for my property taxes and stuff. Which, update on that, I had that conversation with Brittany. She says, "Yeah, it makes sense for your vehicle." I was like, "Yes, it does." So, her vehicle is still going to be registered in California. She's still keeping her California license. So,
I
and
see.
I mean, and we still have our house there, so it's like we're not really gone. But for all intents and purposes, I'm voting in Virginia. I'm a resident,
Sure.
and all that. So, I look at the benefit of what an EV offers today with like just convenience when it comes to prices. Gas is obviously expensive. You guys don't need to be told that back home, and.
Oh, really?
Like,
I don't know anything about what you're talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about. No, but you got family and friends in your area that do. So,
On a truck.
I'm done with that. I don't want to do this whole $5, and when $5 comes to Virginia, that's gonna be a problem.
Fully subsidized.
Fully subsidized. So you get certain perks with having an EV, and I'm not even talking about the HOV thing. I'm just saying that
You'll be HOV anyway.
I know, which is why I'm thinking, like, do I really want to pay for this? I could do the HOV now pretty much whenever. But things that I think about now, I'm like, yeah, I can't go backwards. I can't do a gas unless it's like an emergency, and that is what it is. I don't see a scenario where the next vehicle I buy new would be a gas vehicle. I just don't. I can't wrap my head around that, and the tax incentives that are, adjusting appropriately for cleaner, vehicles. Eventually, EVs will just be the norm. Everyone makes their promises and their commitments. We're moving towards renewable this and cleaner energy that, and sustainability and all these other categories. So I wouldn't be surprised if a different tax implementation, that of like Virginia, will start charging people by the mile if you have an EV, and that's how you can pay for the road tax and things to that effect. But number crunching this, though, after we had talked about that, it's still saving money. Even if you were driving the expected annual, like, we're going to give you 11,000 miles and it caps at that, it still saves money over gas. And in 5 years, wherever I may be, if I have a Rivian, my utility of a vehicle does not change, and I don't see why it still wouldn't save me money. If anything else, the fact that I plan on having solar, I plan on having home charging as much as possible, and even if I didn't, these charging stations are still cheaper than $5 a gallon. So, and say they weren't oil, transmission, like. There's no way I see a future where gas vehicles are just where they make sense. Buying new. Buying used is different. EVs are expensive. I concede. I agree. But buying a new gas vehicle? If you're going gas, buy used. Don't buy new. So
No, I agree. That's the quickest way you can justify it, is like, I could buy a $5,000 used gas car now and it gets a lot of range out of it. It's like, okay, yeah. The break-even point is pretty far out. If you compare that to a new EV, how many miles you'd have to drive it before the gas car is more expensive. It's up there. It's quite a bit. But I did ask my wife that. I was like, so after 2 months and some change of ownership, would you ever want to buy a gas car again? And her answer was like, at the very least, a hybrid. She was like, that's the only gas car I would consider as one that was like, that had plug-in hybrid functionality. She was kind of interested in the concept of basically the Volt, of like for city driving, it's electric, and then on a road trip,
The
you use
golden
gas.
vehicle does everything you need. It's a sedan.
She was still open
it's
to
a
that.
hatchback. It runs on electricity and gas, so it can do long range, but also doesn't cost a dime if you're just doing city driving. Best car ever. And they killed it.
And they stopped making it. Yeah. But I'm still in the camp of like just all electric no matter what, best case scenario. We have no plans to buy a hybrid at this time, but I felt good and reaffirmed because it was pretty cold for us, at least California cold, earlier in the week, and we all needed to get in the car. So I preheated it. I turned on the heated seat, and the heat pump was pumping, and it could say like 70 degrees inside the car, and it was like 38 degrees outside the car. And we got out into it and rushed inside. It was like, we'd close all the doors, and she was like, I think this feature alone was worth the purchase. She was so insanely happy because we've never had a car that could do that could just like warm itself up as we came out to it. She was just like, this alone made the whole saving up and all of the talk and all of the planning. She was like, that was worth it. So I felt so happy at that point because she's very budget minded, cost cutting, like let's just get what works. So it was a big discussion, and it was a hard conversation to justify such an expensive car, but to see her that happy with it, I was like, thank you, this is good. Just very happy.
I'm not as familiar with gas cars and their capabilities, but I know that feature has been rolling out with them as well, with being able to remote start and have the air conditioning going.
Yes,
so
it is. But
there's an argument
it's
there.
going to be a high upfront and then a high operating.
Yep.
So, to me, like a new gas car after 5 years would cost way more than this car. Especially when new gas cars are still not even that cheap anyway. Whereas this, we know we can charge from home and get the lower rates on. And you would probably have to find like a used gas car that has those features. But no, it's like the one vehicle that has it all, rather than
right.
It has some,
Why are you
but not
gonna
this.
only buy part of it? Get all of it.
Right.
If you can afford it.
Yeah.
It just so happened that
exactly.
the 3 was affordable in your financial capacity. So makes
Right.
sense.
Glad it's a thing, and I'd still recommend it to those looking for the Tesla experience but don't want to drop that much.
Ah, what a good name.
Right.
Where have we heard that before?
God, I'm not gonna lie, I missed that channel, but I like doing EV with you guys too much. I don't feel like I have any value to bring independently. I like what we do on the show. So this is the Tesla experience for me in long form. It is what it is. Yeah,
Definitely a lot more frequent.
Huh? Yeah,
Definitely a lot more frequent.
Yeah, it's because there's more. I don't know. I like hearing.
I'm
outside
pulling your
thoughts in
chain.
my time. It's okay. YouTube will just copyright claim something on that channel too. I'm sure they'll find a way. They always find a way.
Oh, they'll find something.
They always find a way.
You used your own music. How dare you? Anyways,
That's not even, dude. That's actually a.
I strung a chord. Figuratively and literally.
That's actually a thing. Anyway, moving on. I like how Aptera engages with people online and how they're just they still feel very small, in the sense of like not niche, but just like they have that small company energy and. Hey, check out this guy's video. I'm like, oh my god, you guys are talking to us.
Oh yeah.
It's cool. It's cool. They're like, hey, enthusiasts are talking about our things. We're enthusiastic about the things you're enthusiastic about. Enthusiast.
I mean, as much as we're excited about their vehicles, they're as excited, if not more.
Right.
They're building the dang thing, but it was pretty cool. Thanks for touching on that, Randy. It was cool seeing Aptera quote retweet whatever it is, Drew's video recently on Aptera, and
Yeah, I was flattered. I
Some
was
of the
very honored
developments.
they did that, and it seems like I've been engaging more in the Aptera Owners Club and trying to figure out little details and little things that aren't final and that are final. I was happy to hear their announcement about basically the 6 body parts that go together, and Monroe was part of the update video as well. I was like, wow, this is so cool. And the engineers said that they're like, we're watching all the content, like we're watching everything and paying attention to what people say they do and don't like and trying to implement that. Which I was like, this is just such an exciting time for them as a brand to be like,
Yeah.
we've got the product and we're taking the feedback, and it just feels like they're so focused. They don't have too many things going on. They don't have like, oh, and we're doing this and we're doing that. No, they're just like, this is our goal. We have a mission statement and we're sticking to it. So, we were talking about like things that would make us change our plans or whatever. I don't think it's coming in the near term, but if one day in the next few decades Aptera did a 4 or 5 seater sedan, which they've talked about doing, maybe that would change my plans around. If they could get like a hyper efficient vehicle with more than 2 seats. And
Oh, I'm sure.
they even mentioned, you think they'll get there?
I do.
It's a much bigger market, I'm sure, than the 2 doors, but they even mentioned at the fully charged, there was a question about a 3rd seat, and Chris Anthony mentioned that they want to do one for the base trim. They think they could fit a 3rd seat in the 250 mile range version, which would be like a jump seat basically. You could just, someone small could fit in the back. But I was like, huh. So they're like, it's on their radar basically. It's on their LiDAR, you could say. There's there's talk of them eventually going that route. I'm glad they're not trying to base their evaluation off of that. They're not trying to get ahead of themselves. They're just straight up saying, no, this is the project. But like the solar cells, they got those in production and they're working. And from what I understand, they actually can adopt the Tesla connector, which is surprising. They said they can't necessarily get supercharging, but they're pretty confident that they will have the Tesla connector and you'll be able to charge off of a wall connector, or if you go to Electrify America or a charge point, you would just use an adapter. You would just use the CCS adapter that Tesla already sells, or maybe they'll include that with the vehicle. But because it's so efficient, the battery is so small, you don't need that fast of charging. So I think it'll be like a pretty low peak charge speed to kind of keep, like the Bolt I think is so cheap because it doesn't go over 50 kilowatts, so the wiring can be a lot more basic. It doesn't have to cool as heavily, and I think
it's
the
only
Aptera will
16 gauge wire. That's all it needs.
only 16. Yeah. But the Aptera with such small battery packs is like, well, 50 kilowatts going into an Aptera is the equivalent of like 120 kilowatts going into a Model 3 because of how many miles get added back and what you can do with that energy. So I think the kilowatt rating will probably be a misconceiving. Plus the car can freaking charge itself on the road. So very hopeful for them, and planning a lot more videos covering them and ideas I have following them in the future, because I do think that the things I prioritize in a vehicle are what their emphasis is. So that's why I want to get closer and more engaged in that community.
Do you see yourself, Drew, heading down to SoCal to be more hands-on with them if they were to do like events or whatever? Because they're out of Irvine.
Yeah, we tried.
Or like manufacturing. They're out of Irvine.
Carlsbad.
Yeah.
Is it all in Carlsbad as well? Like
Not all. They have a headquarters that is a bit south in the San Diego area.
Rivian is in Irvine.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I thought they were too.
Aptera is pretty capital constrained still. So they are relying on a lot of export outsourced production. So they just announced what was this company? I think it was C something. They just had a big announcement with this company based in Europe, where basically this brand that manufactures CPC Group. That's
Yep.
what I thought. They do these like carbon based composites, and they're going to be building like 6 major parts that are essentially the body in white for a Tesla, except for Aptera it's not, steel or aluminum or metal or anything. It's these lightweight durable composites. And Monroe talked about how it simplifies the manufacturing and the parts are just made to fit together, and they're like a perfect fit. So that news was exciting, but it relies on a lot of those composites being built in Europe and then shipped to San Diego or wherever they're built. And they assemble them there. But I don't think at this stage of development they're ready for that much vertical integration. And Steve from Aptera Owners Club also mentioned it was just speculation on his part. It's not an official report or anything, but he was suggesting that for features like Safety Pilot, they could use AI, who's like a third-party self-driving company that you can install hardware in your own car, and it kind of does what Autopilot does. He was like, instead of coming up with your own in-house software team to develop level 2 self-driving, you should just integrate AI, which is like a $1,000 computer camera system that you can install in existing vehicles. They could just install that at the factory, because Safety Pilot is like a $1,300 add-on, I think, at checkout. So they could just say, boom, there's the software. And most people who have tried it are pretty impressed with it. It seems to work fairly well. So I think at this stage they're going to outsource a lot, and kind of keep costs as low as they can. But that's the nice thing about Aptera is there's not much complexity to it. There's pretty simple design, pretty, efficient battery pack means you don't have to worry as much about, 200 kilowatt charge speeds or those types of things. So I think that helps them hopefully be able to, on a budget, get the vehicle out and on the road. But
I like seeing how far they've kind of come, looking at their
Yeah.
configuration page of, I think it's like the alpha or beta version of the vehicle or whatever. And now like we're getting towards the end of gamma and the beginning of delta, and there's just so many different design changes that they've gone through, like the front headlight running light, not really like that anymore, and the same with like the side headlights and all that. And then also the they call them the wheel pants, basically the wheel covers there, the outboard wheels. Those are a whole lot different looking as well. It's very cool to see a company like Aptera, very not translucent, but is at least communicating their design almost every step of the way, almost monthly now. And just being able to see what differences in design that they've changed or made, and just like how that's influenced by both engineering and manufacturing principles, but also from customer wishes and all that, and talking with the community. So to just
very good first principles.
very awesome, good first principles, and also being able to recognize like these are we're selling a car, and people like it's a very unique car, so might as well talk with the customers that are interested and see what their input is and how we can go around that, or at least like be able to address those needs.
Yeah.
And
I just can't decide which trim we want. We haven't settled on which range option we want to go with, but
I made mine a while back, and they still have my $100 and all that, in which I had configured, I think, a 250-mile version, and I think I made it the white one, the soul color.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
But thinking about it now, I'm like,
I like
I like Luna a little bit more because I like the silver. But
Silver is dope.
also, like, this is a car that I probably won't take delivery of. I mean, it would be nice. It's just, of course, all up to the wife, and then also where we're at in life, and if we really need this vehicle. But 250 seems good enough, especially if it can solar power itself. Why not? I don't really need anything more. it would be nice to have 1,000 miles, but if I'm going like 1,000 miles with the car, like might as well just take the Model Y or a longer range EV, or maybe not
Sure.
longer range EV, but one that has better capacity for stuff, because if I'm
Right.
going camping, I'm bringing a decent amount of gear, and Aptera can carry a decent amount of gear, but like we're probably also bringing pets and all that, and where we're going to put the pets plus the... It's limited by its design in a way, which is fine. It's not designed to be the all-encompassing SUV. It's supposed to be a hyper-efficient sedan with a lot of cool quirks. So
Right.
I don't think 1,000 miles is necessarily needed. 400 miles seems like a nice middle ground, but I think 250 is livable.
Definitely, for sure. Well, I think unless you guys have final thoughts, I could wrap it up.
I was trying to spec out my dream
okay.
Aptera, but I we'll save it for next time. I want to play with it a little bit more. It's not as clean cut as I initially was making it. I was like,
Nope.
It's not as clean cut. I want to.
And the configurator's kind of dated now.
I
anyway.
noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be
Hopefully they
interesting
update
to see,
soon.
when that renovation happens, and what
Hopefully after
options will
Delta.
they keep. Yeah, right.
Mhm.
At least after Delta, right?
At least.
Right.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you, and we'll catch you next week for our second to the last episode. Bye bye.
Penultimate last episode.